So how do you avoid complexity in your MVP? As a founder, there's a very high tendency that you add too many features in your MVP, and that will make your app slow, buggy, and it will crash all the time. And you can refer to that as the product, right? So MVP, minimum viable product. Product simply means it's a tool that can be applied to a problem to solve a problem. So that's fine. Minimum means you have the least set of features that you can put into the product. You could have put more, but you're going with the minimum. Viable simply means it's able to successfully solve the problem you're trying to solve. On its own, it's sustainable. It can get a particular problem solved or a particular part of the bigger problem you're solving solved. But a lot of the products that founders build, especially first-time founders, are anything but a minimum viable product. It's just over bloated with features. Now, building an MVP is about engineering simplicity. The question you need to ask yourself is, how do I engineer simplicity? Engineering simplicity is hard. How do you determine the minimum set of features that go into the MVP and that would be viable? And don't forget, the reason why you even have your MVP in the first place is for you to quickly get feedback from the market. If it takes you 9 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, which I've seen some people take a long time, for you to get your MVP out, then that's not an MVP. So how do you engineer simplicity? The real problem usually comes from not being able to visualize complexity in the first place. How do you tell whether what you're building is complex or not? I have a simple, maybe a watered down way for you to tell if what you're building is complex or not. And I'm going to take these sticky notes, the post-its, and try and explain that concept. You may not be able to see it clearly, but maybe I'll put a picture of it on the screen. But let's just say this set of post-its represents the complexity in your app. What you have running from this angle, this end to this end, is the set of features you have in your product. Here I have 5 features, right? Numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now for each feature, so here, from here to here is that's the number of features you have. Then from top to bottom is how many versions of a feature do you have? Then across here represents the number of platforms that your MVP runs on. So is it just on Android? Do you have it on iOS as well? Does it run on web? Is it embedded? So you can see that gives you like a 3-dimensional view of the complexity you're dealing with. Here I have 5 features, and under feature 1, I have 6 variations of it. That means I could have 6 ways that users can log into my MVP. And if I have that across multiple platforms, maybe on the web, on Android, so each leaf is representing a platform, on iOS, embedded, and so many other platforms that you could have. You can see that not only do you have just one feature, you are multiplying it across 6 different forms of the feature. So maybe you can log in with Google, log in with Apple, with Facebook, with LinkedIn, with X, and all of that. And you have that on multiple platforms. Now, multiple platforms really just relate to multiple code bases. So if you have one code base that allows you to work on multiple platforms, Flutter, for example, where you could build for Android, iOS, and web, then you may just consider that as just one layer of complexity because they're dealing with everything just within that code base. Though in some cases, you would have to deal with specific issues on different platforms. But the point here is for you to engineer simplicity and avoid complexity in your MVP. The key thing you want to do is minimize the number of features you have, minimize the different forms of the feature you have. Right now, I'm working on an MVP that allows you to nurture relationships much better. And one of the features in that MVP is for you to be able to add a contact. Now, right now, we only have one way of adding a contact. We could allow you add contacts from LinkedIn. We could allow you import contacts from Google, but we're not doing any of that. We're just giving you one way to add a contact because we're trying to make it a minimum viable product. So you want to minimize number of features and the number of forms of that particular feature, right? Like the login example I gave earlier. At the same time, you want to minimize the number of platforms you have to repeat that on. So instead of having it on web, on Android, on iOS, and any other kind of platform, what you really want is, in order to avoid complexity, you want to take one platform, right? This is just one platform. Let's say iOS, for example. And even on that platform, you want to have only this set of features, right? Only 3 features instead of 5 features. So I've taken 2 off. Only 3 features. And for these 3 features, the first one has 6 variants of it. The other one has 5 variants. Another one has 2 variants of the feature. So there are different ways you can do that, implement that feature in the app. So what you want is few features, and at the same time, you don't want all those different forms of the feature. You want to keep it simple, just one type. If someone is going to log in, let them just be able to log in with email, and that's it. If someone is going to add a contact, for example, let them have just one way of adding a contact. If someone is going to be able to edit their profile, let there be just one place where you can edit their profile. Can you even avoid other features like maybe adding or inviting people, although that's a very good feature to have because it helps your MVP to spread quickly. But I guess you get the idea. Avoid the number of features, avoid the different forms of that feature. And that's how you engineer simplicity. So if you've got any value out of this video, please subscribe. If you think someone else will find this useful, please share with them. And if you want to, you can also like the video. And I also want to say thank you to all my current subscribers. Your support has been really helpful. And I hope that others also subscribe and we get to grow this, because my mission for this channel is to help founders out there. It's not enough to just have the need to build a startup or build a product. There are certain things that if you know, it makes the journey far lot easier. And I've had 2 decades of doing this. I've seen a repeating pattern, and I like to share these things through this video. So the more people that subscribe, I believe the more this message gets spread, and the more people get to learn about it. Thank you.